I'm already over 90. I've lived such a long life. I can still vividly remember my childhood, yet I'm already in my 90s. Now, I'd like to tell the story of my life, the winding path I've walked. I should leave something behind, shouldn't I? When I was born in North Hamgyong Province, Korea was already under Japanese occupation. Everyone was going through hard times. I was too young to understand then. But once I entered elementary school, I began to experience some of that suffering myself. The government only gave out one pair of shoes per year, so we had to treasure them. But Japanese students at my school were given shoes without limit. Even as a child, I could see the injustice, and it made me angry. Once, a Japanese boy bullied my second oldest brother, who was in 6th grade and always had a runny nose. My brother beat him up, and the Japanese kid couldn't retaliate against my elder brother. So he waited for me, just a first grader, after school to take it out on me. The moment I saw him, I ran home as fast as I could, but in my haste, one of my precious shoes slipped off. He picked it up and threw it into one of the boiling water jars placed outside each house. I hated the Japanese for things like that, even back then. We lived in the far north of North Hamgyong Province, near the Aog coal mine. Winters were bitterly cold. Even with thick gloves, my hands froze on the hour-long walk to school. Along the road, people would light bonfires and place big stones on top for passers-by to carry. When I picked one up, I would place a cold stone there in return. Koreans have always had a spirit of caring for others even back then. One winter day, I was warming myself near the classroom stove with the other kids. Some boys were playing rough and pushed me toward the stove. I accidentally put my hands on it, and when I pulled them back, my palms were already blistered and white with burns. The teacher had nothing for treatment, so they called my second brother to take me home. My brother was an excellent student in studying, and hated missing class more than he cared about my injury. He walked ahead, pouting, telling me to hurry up. I was in too much pain to keep up, and only then he turned back, carried me on his back, and took me home. But later, he became the sibling who cared for me the most. At home, my mother applied soybean paste to my burns. That was the folk remedy at the time. Now they say not to do that, right? By the time I went up to 2nd grade, my brother went to a middle school in Seoul. Back then, we called that studying abroad. My eldest brother was already studying there. During school vacations, both brothers would come home, and we often visited relatives with our mother. We lived in a town, but our relatives were in the countryside. My mother was the third of many siblings. I remember the oldest aunt scolding me for wearing a short skirt in the cold and sewing me thick, quilted pants right there on her sewing machine. That pants were so thick I could barely walk in them. But it showed how much they loved us. After the Korean War, I believe those relatives remained in the north. I often wonder what happened to them. There was a friend my age in the neighborhood where I lived. We were very close. Her father was Taiwanese, so she was mixed race, and she was really pretty. Since we were so close, her father would always bring me the same gifts he brought her daughter whenever he came back from business trips. She was smart and an excellent public speaker. Later, I heard she went to Japan to participate in a speech contest and even won an award. I also heard she reunited with her father in Japan, whom she had been separated from. I don't know where she is or what she is doing now, but I still miss her. What I remember is her last name only. Her last name was Saw. I didn't meet her since I came over to Seoul after Korea's liberation. Where are you, my friends? I still miss you guys very much. I also had a sister about 10 years older than me. My mother didn't send her to school, instead preparing her for marriage through household training. She married young man through a match arranged by a big daddy. I cried at her wedding night, insisting I wanted to sleep beside her that night. I didn't understand that she now had to sleep with her husband. Her husband's family was a sincere Christian, but her in-laws included a hunchbacked woman and a mute man, her husband's younger siblings. I was scared at first, but they treated me with so much kindness. My sister was fully ready to run a household before marriage due to mom's training. But her husband's family treated her like a queen, so she had little to do. Until we fled to the South Korea. In my 3rd grade, Korea was liberated from Japanese rule. My father left for Seoul first, and later my mother. My 2 brothers, and I followed by train. My sister wanted to come with us to South Korea, and her husband agreed. Even though his family stayed in the north. I remember the procession vividly, an ox cart loaded with belongings. My sister and her baby sitting on top, and her in-laws walking alongside. We eventually settled in Gyeongro, Seoul, and I was transferred to a nearby school as a 3rd grader. At first, I struggled with the Seoul dialect, and was mocked for my northern accent. I hated going to school. One day I even told my father I wouldn't go to school anymore. But he gently encouraged me to keep going. At school, I had no friends and kept to myself, but then a chance came. During recess, the girls would play rubber band jumping games in 2 teams. One day, they needed an extra player, so someone asked me to join. It turned out I was really good at it. And after that, everyone wanted me on their team. I began to make friends and slowly picked up the Seoul accent. In PE class, we ran 50-meter dashes. I found I was faster than most. And the PE teacher invited me to join the track team. It wasn't just running, they taught us volleyball, basketball, and songgu too. They call songgu now handball, right? From a young age, I learned almost every sport. As an athlete, I didn't have to do after-school cleaning duties either. Eventually, I entered a 6-year middle school. I think I was accepted as a sports talent, because I was never that interested in studying. I continued training in track, especially loving relay races. To this day, I always watch track events on TV. I think my mom inspired that interest. She often took me to places like the sports stadium to watch sports games. I wonder if she was once an athlete herself. Perhaps because I was the only child left at home, she took me along everywhere. Our school was near Korea University, and we got trained at their field. My second brother, who studied there, would sometimes watch from the stands. All the coaches were his friends, so I never got scolded harshly. I had a close friend on the team, whose father was a doctor, also our school physician. When we had to get shots, he'd come and administer them. I hated injections and always tried to hide at the end of the line. But he knew me and would just chuckle, saying, "Hey, you rascal, come here." I don't know why I acted like that when I knew I'd get the shot anyway. Maybe because he was my friend's dad and I felt too comfortable around him. Haha.